Welcome back to the Numis Hunter, where today's extraordinary deep dive uncovers the unbelievable story behind the legendary 1973 quarter-dollar coin that collectors whisper about, a coin rumored in numismatic folklore to have commanded an astonishing $132 million because of its astounding errors, bizarre production flaws, and the mysteries surrounding how only a handful could have slipped through the rigid inspection systems of the United States Mint, capturing the imaginations of treasure hunters, experts, and curious dreamers around the world who wonder whether such a small, everyday coin could truly transform someone's life overnight. And as we journey deeper into the rare universe of minting anomalies, you'll quickly realize that the hidden value lies not just in silver content or overall condition, but in those remarkable imperfections that defied quality control. Errors that transform an ordinary 25-cent piece in a treasure worthy of global fascination. The story begins in 1973 when the Mint continued producing clad Washington quarters, but a mysterious blend of leftover planchets from prior years, experimental metal mixes, and mechanical instability created a few pieces that did not match standard specifications. And among these were elusive transitional errors struck either on misalloyed planchets or blank discs intended for foreign contract coinage, resulting in quarters that had abnormal weights, metallic tones, surface textures, and ring characteristics, meaning the moment you tap one of these on hard surface, it gives off a tone closer to silver than the typical muted resonance of copper-nickel clad. And this was further backed by collectors who noticed faint but undeniable signs of silver sheen beneath the surface, possibly signaling that the Mint accidentally struck a limited batch on leftover 90% silver planchets saved from pre-1965 production runs, a theory reinforced by metallurgical testing from private experts, indicating an unexpected presence of silver alloy far exceeding standard clad composition. Equally fascinating were doubling anomalies on the 1973 date, where some digits appear bold and shadowed, believed to be dramatic double die strikes caused by misalignment during the creation of working dies, and the doubling on the phrase, "I in God we trust," and the boldness of the mint mark, coupled with incompletely formed stars on the eagle's wings, created collector demand at an unprecedented level. Yet, the mystery deepened when another example surfaced showing a reverse intended for the bicentennial 1976 quarter, suggesting a mule error, an impossible combination that could only result when mismatched dies were inadvertently paired during production, creating a hybrid design never meant for public release and instantly signaling its rarity. Since mule coins are among the hardest errors to find and often command incredible value, and the fact that such a mule could exist from 1973 challenged everything experts assumed about record keeping and production control, leading to speculation that an employee may have intentionally or accidentally allowed the dies to be mixed when older test dies were present for machinery calibration. Further fueling the coin's mystique were reports that certain examples weighed noticeably more than standard clad quarters. And this weight variation hinted at the possibility of different thickness or improper metal layering, making these pieces stand out. Even in casual pocket change, with owners describing subtle ridges along the reeded edge that appear incomplete, suggesting misfeeding of the planchet into the striking chamber, and the presence of lamination cracks on some surfaces supports the theory that these coins were struck on defective planchets with impurities deep within the metal. Some coins display off-center strikes, with the obverse slightly shifted so that Washington's head appears too close to the rim, creating crescent-shaped blank gaps on the opposite edge, a trait that collectors adore since the more dramatic the off-center error, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, and combining that with die clash impressions where elements of the eagle appear faintly visible on the obverse side only increases appeal, While some examples exhibit broad strike errors where the absence of a retaining collar allowed the planchet to expand outward, producing an unusually wide diameter and giving the quarter an oversized look, unlike anything normally minted, making it instantly identifiable to anyone with even minor experience handling coins. Rumors began circulating that one of these ultra-rare examples was mistakenly sent to a banking institution or vending machine supplier, eventually entering circulation unnoticed, and someone unknowingly spent on a simple purchase like a cup of coffee or a newspaper, which set off a treasure hunt frenzy among enthusiasts who combed through rolls, searching for even the faintest chance of finding the holy grail of error quarters, and with only a microscopic fraction potentially surviving. This rarity drove private sales into levels never imagined for modern U.S. coinage, and when a particularly pristine example surfaced at a confidential private auction, numismatic insiders claim it sold for a staggering $132 million because of its unmatched combination of transitional composition, mule design, double dies, off-center strike, and unique clash details, forming a perfect storm of errors that would be nearly impossible to replicate even intentionally. And experts emphasize that the reason for the massive valuation was not simply the presence of these errors individually, but the fact that this specific coin contained all these anomalies simultaneously, creating not just rarity, but an astronomically unique artifact whose very existence represents one of the most unlikely outcomes in modern minting history. Authentication involved advanced metallurgical scanning, die marker comparison, and microscopic study of strike characteristics, revealing a complex history of irregularities consistent with an uncommon series of minting accidents that no one before believed possible in that era. And each anomaly tells a chapter of its production tale, from the failed alignment of dies to the rushed handling of planchets, suggesting production facilities may have been under intense pressure at the time, allowing unusual pieces to slip through. And this only increases intrigue as numismatists debate whether this coin represents a mere accident or a test strike produced in secrecy, possibly intended for internal evaluation of bicentennial design transitions. And while only theories exist, the lack of mint records confirming these errors adds to the conspiracy aura, with some believing mint officials destroyed nearly all examples once discovered, but failed to recover a few lost pieces. Today, collectors pore over 1973 quarters, searching for even the smallest hint of doubled lettering, off-center images, abnormal weight, silver luster, or mule reverses, hoping to find the next multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in pocket change. And this hunt is fueled not only by the value, but by the excitement of unlocking history through metal, appreciating how a single mistake can generate such incredible power. And while many dreamers hunt through bankrolls, estate collections, old jars, dealer bins, and forgotten boxes in attics and basements, experts advise verifying weight, metallurgical composition, and strike anomalies because even minor errors can add considerable value, though nothing will ever match the mythical $132 million example whose story continues to grow as scholars, collectors, and casual fans wonder if more exist, hidden, unknown, waiting to be found. And this enduring possibility fuels the magic of numismatics, where rarity, mystery, and discovery unite in the imagination, encouraging every viewer today to look closer at their change, because the next legendary coin could be resting quietly in someone's hand right now, waiting to change a life. Next, the 1988 D $quarter coin that has stunned collectors everywhere, with rumors of one specific extraordinary example valued at an unbelievable $13 million due to a bizarre combination of mint errors, striking abnormalities, metal composition mysteries, and historical confusion that together turned an ordinary 25-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar marvel that continues to fascinate numismatists, hobbyists, treasure hunters, and everyday dreamers hoping to stumble upon. One of these rare pieces resting unnoticed in a forgotten jar, pocket change pile, or bankroll, because the world of coin collecting is full of surprises and strange twists where even a common year coin like the 1988 D quarter can rise to legendary status if touched by the unpredictable dance of minting flaws. This incredible story begins at the Denver Mint when a 1988 D quarter was mass-produced, typically clad in copper nickel and featuring the familiar Washington portrait on the obverse and the eagle reverse that had been standard for decades. But during this year, a handful of strange production events are believed to have occurred, either through mechanical failure, experimental material use, or unusual die pairings, leading to anomalies that would later stun experts after these coins escaped into circulation. And among these anomalies is the most famous example that reportedly sold for $13 million due to possessing a combination of dramatic features almost unheard of on a single coin, including a double die obverse, off-metal planchet composition, rotated die alignment, and striking weakness along the reverse wing details, creating the numismatic equivalent of a perfect storm. The doubling visible on the date 1988 and the phrase "I in God we trust" appears unusually bold, showing deep shadowing and clear separation, indicating a major double die variety rather than just mechanical doubling, making this error extremely valuable because true double die coins result from flaws in die manufacture, not simple striking vibration, and the strong doubling evident in the last two digits of the date made experts question how such a major oversight occurred during production. But far more intriguing is that the legendary $13 million specimen is believed to have been struck on a transitional or off-metal planchet, possibly using leftover blanks intended for foreign coinage or experimental alloy test batches, giving it a distinctly different weight and metallic tone, making it ring more like silver than typical clad coinage when tapped. And although official mint records do not acknowledge these off-metal strikes, independent metallurgical testing by private collectors reportedly found higher than expected nickel content and traces of silver, suggesting an accidental minting event. In addition to this, the coin's edge reading appears partially incomplete, with irregular thickness suggesting the retaining collar either malfunctioned or improperly secured the blank, causing the quarter to expand slightly during striking, producing a broad strike-like effect where the diameter is marginally wider than normal, a trait instantly noticeable to trained collectors. Furthermore, several faint lamination cracks run across Washington's portrait and onto the fields, indicating that impurities within the metal caused layers of the planchet to separate. Another rare flaw that strongly increases desirability. As if that weren't enough, the reverse displays unmistakable die clash impressions where elements of Washington's profile appear faintly behind the eagle, a trait caused when dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost-like imprints on future strikes. And this feature gives the coin a haunting appearance, as though two designs occupy the metal simultaneously. Perhaps the most mind-bending trait is the rotated die alignment where the obverse and reverse do not line up properly. And when the coin is flipped vertically, the eagle appears noticeably rotated from its intended position, a striking misalignment that reveals the dies were improperly installed or secured, and collectors pay huge premiums for such dramatic die rotation, especially when combined with other major errors, and the rare 1988 D mule rumors claims that a few exist with mismatched reverses never intended for the issue, persist among specialists who believe the mint's high production rate and hurried inspection might have let such piece escape. Although confirmed mules remain extremely scarce, still, the mere possibility adds tremendous mystique, drawing more people to inspect their quarters for anomalies. The legendary multimillion-dollar coin is believed to have been discovered by accident, possibly in circulation or mistakenly mixed into a bulk coin lot at a flea market or estate sale. And after being inspected by several independent numismatic authorities, it allegedly changed hands in a quiet private sale. That reached an eye-popping $13 million, a figure unimaginable for modern clad coinage, but explained by the extreme combination of errors present on a single piece. Because while ordinary 1988 D quarters are abundant, the convergence of dramatic doubling, off-metal strike, broad strike distortion, die clash, lamination peeling, and rotated alignment makes this specimen arguably unique. And numismatists emphasize that even if only one such piece exists, the rarity alone justifies the astronomical value. Since the story went public among collectors, thousands have begun checking their pocket change, especially focusing on 1988 quarters from Denver, weighing them for irregular mass, testing magnetic response, and peering through magnification for doubled letters, rotated reverses, off-center strikes, or unusual coloration that could suggest off-metal composition. Many reported minor errors, such as light doubling, machine doubling, weak strike areas, or small die chips near the eagle's wings and Washington's hair curls. And though these variations may not be worth millions, they can still fetch decent premiums depending on condition, especially in high-grade, uncirculated examples. The concept that a modern quarter minted only decades ago could command such value inspires collectors because it shows that fortune need not lie only in ancient or antique currency, but can be hidden in plain sight within everyday coinage, sparking imagination and passion for treasure. Hunting. Stories tell of people who searched old jars in garages, drawers, changed trays, and even vending machine returns, hopeful they might find the next big discovery, and experts recommend paying particular attention to weight, luster, strike sharpness, edge patterning, and any noticeable distortion because unusual features may signal error origins. Meanwhile, ongoing debate continues among numismatic historians about how such an extreme error coin could have escaped the mint's eye, leading some to speculate that the coin may have been produced not from accident alone, but possibly from experimental testing or during transitional metal experimentation, meaning it could have been saved unofficially by someone at the mint and later released. And while there is no evidence to prove such, lack of clear records invites speculation. Regardless, enthusiasts agree that the 1988 D $13 million quarter sits among the most compelling modern era legends, encouraging all collectors to examine their coins carefully because small details can determine value beyond imagination. And as the story grows, more treasure hunters join the chase, proving once again that the world of coins is filled with wonder, excitement, unpredictability, and the thrilling possibility that your next amazing discovery could be waiting among the most ordinary objects you encounter every day. Next, the 1992 D $quarter coin that has stunned collectors around the world because one extraordinary alleged example has been rumored to reach a breathtaking value of $27 million thanks to its bizarre minting errors, strange metal anomalies, mysterious historical origin, and the almost unbelievable combination of mistakes that somehow slipped through the Denver Mint's strict production standards, leaving a single quarter capable of turning an ordinary collector into a millionaire overnight. And whether you're a professional numismatist or simply someone who checks their pocket change hoping for a miracle, this journey into the hidden world of the 1992 D quarter will ignite your imagination and remind you that massive treasure can appear in the most unexpected places. It all begins in 1992 when the United States Mint produced millions of quarters featuring the familiar Washington portrait on the obverse and the traditional eagle design on the reverse. But unknown to the public, A strange sequence of events around that time likely resulted in a tiny number of error coins being struck under unusual conditions, possibly involving leftover metal blanks, experimental alloys, mismatched dies, or misalignment of machinery. And while no official documentation explains how these anomalies escaped the mint, collectors have uncovered clues from examples circulating in private collections and whispered about in numismatic circles for years. Among the most shocking details of the legendary $27 million 1992 D quarter is that it appears to have been struck on an off-metal planchet, meaning instead of the usual copper-nickel clad, the coin displays a distinctly different coloration and sound when tapped, suggesting that the metal composition may include silver or an unusually high nickel content. And some reports claim metallurgical analyses detected silver traces, indicating the possibility that the mint inadvertently struck these quarters on leftover planchets from earlier years or on test blanks intended for foreign coinage, which would instantly elevate the rarity and value because transitional composition errors are highly prized, especially when found in modern quarters. Furthermore, this legendary coin reportedly features a dramatic double-die obverse with the date 1992, the inscription, "I in God we trust," and even parts of Washington's profile appear doubled, creating bold shadowing visible even without magnification, and such doubling is not the simple mechanical type caused by die shift during striking, but a true double die created during die hubbing, making it extremely rare and desirable among collectors. And the reverse also shows subtle doubling in the eagle's wings and talons, further supporting the theory that this coin was produced during a period of die instability at the Denver Mint. Even more unusual is the rotated die alignment, where flipping the coin reveals that the reverse does not align properly with the obverse, instead appearing rotated several degrees, a sign that the dies were improperly installed and allowed to strike multiple coins before being corrected, meaning that any surviving examples with this error are already scarce, and the idea that this particular quarter contains multiple such major errors simultaneously makes it almost unimaginably rare. In addition, the reeded edge of the coin appears partially incomplete, with several areas smooth instead of ridged, suggesting either a collar malfunction or improper planchet placement during striking. And collectors know that improperly formed edges add significantly to value, especially when combined with other dramatic errors. Yet this coin's mysteries do not end there, because it also displays lamination cracks across the obverse fields in Washington's bust, revealing that impurities or structural weakness in the metal cause flakes to peel away. A rare and visually striking error that suggests the planchet was defective, even before the strike occurred. On the reverse, faint die clash marks show the ghostly impression of Washington's image behind the eagle, meaning the dies struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving traces of one design imprinted into the opposite die and producing a fascinating distorted effect that experts immediately recognize as highly collectible. Adding to the intrigue is the slight off-center strike that leaves part of the rim unusually thin, with details pushed toward one edge, revealing that the planchet was not properly centered during striking. And while minor off-center strikes are not exceptionally rare, combining one with major doubling, off-metal composition, rotated dies, and lamination cracks is extraordinary and virtually unheard of. Some numismatists even speculate that this coin might be an accidental mule, meaning that it could have been struck using mismatched obverse and reverse dies from different production periods, though evidence remains limited and shrouded in secrecy, particularly because the alleged $27 million example is said to be held by a private collector who purchased it in a quiet transaction involving major coin dealers, leading to speculation that the coin may have been withdrawn from public view to avoid scrutiny or to protect its authenticity from controversy. But the whispered details shared among insiders only fuel the excitement, because when so many rare error features appear on one coin, its uniqueness becomes virtually guaranteed. The question that continues to fascinate collectors is how such a coin could have escaped the Denver Mint's strict quality controls, with many attributing the escape to a combination of human oversight, machinery malfunction, and the sheer volume of production that year, meaning that a small handful of flawed pieces could have slipped unnoticed into everyday circulation, waiting to be discovered decades later by an unsuspecting person checking loose change. And countless treasure hunters now search through 1992 D quarters hoping to find even a minor error that could be worth hundreds or thousands, but all seek the mythic example said to be worth millions. Stories circulate of individuals finding unusual 1992 D quarters in old jars, inherited estates, forgotten drawers, vending machine returns, or bank rolls, with some examples showing minor doubling or small die chips that, although nowhere near the value of the legendary specimen, still fetch impressive prices depending on condition, and experienced collectors advise examining every element of the coin including weight, thickness, edge formation, metallic sound, and magnified surface details because any hint of off-metal composition or dramatic doubling could indicate a rare variety. The fascination surrounding this coin has inspired a new wave of enthusiasts, proving that modern quarters can hold incredible value beyond their face worth. And while skeptics argue that claims of a $27 million sale may be exaggerated or based on private speculation, believers insist that the unusual combination of features on the reported specimen makes such value entirely plausible within the uppermost tier of the error coin market, where uniqueness often commands astronomical prices, regardless of the truth. The legend of the 1992 D quarter endures because it captures the imagination, blending history, luck, and mystery into one small disc of metal that teaches us life-changing. Fortune might be hiding right in plain sight, and whether you're a casual viewer fascinated by unbelievable stories or a dedicated treasure hunter determined to make the next great discovery, the tale of the 1992 D quarter reminds us that every coin has a story and that sometimes the smallest objects can hold the biggest secrets and the most astonishing value, encouraging all of us to look more closely at the change we handle every day because the next rare treasure might be sitting quietly in your pocket waiting to be found. Next, the 1987 D quarter dollar coin that has sparked curiosity and amazement among collectors because one extraordinary specimen has been rumored to carry a staggering value of $8 million due to its unbelievable combination of minting errors, strange anomalies, and historical uncertainty that make this small, everyday coin worth far more than anyone could imagine. And although millions of 1987 D quarters were struck at the Denver Mint, only a tiny number are believed to possess the unusual characteristics that elevate them into the realm of ultra-rare numismatic treasures. And as we journey through the story of this coin, you will learn about the mistakes, conditions, and theories that surround its enormous value and ensure that those who come across even the faintest error variation hold something special in their hands and might just change their lives overnight. It all begins with the Denver Mint in 1987, a year of high production and intense workflow when hundreds of millions of coins were created under heavy pressure to meet currency demands. And during this mass output, various machines, dies, and planchets were being rotated, repaired, and replaced, opening the door for unexpected minting flaws and rare transitional errors to sneak through unnoticed. And among the most highly coveted examples sits the legendary 1987 D quarter rumored to have sold in a private transaction for $8 million because its array of mistakes is believed to be unlike any other modern quarter ever recorded, earning it a mystical position among collectors. The most striking error on this coin is said to be a bold double die obverse, where the date 1987 and the phrase "I in God, we trust" appear heavily shadowed, showing deep, well-defined doubling that is visible without magnification, indicating that this error originated during die creation rather than simple, striking vibration, making it extremely rare because true double die coins require flawed die hubbing, rather than common mechanical doubling. And this rarity alone would command significant attention. But the specimen's uniqueness only deepens as further anomalies emerge, including the possibility that it was struck on an off-metal planchet rather than standard copper-nickel clad, giving it an unusual tone, surface texture, and metallic ring when tapped. Some observers claim the mysterious $8 million piece contains traces of silver or an unusual alloy blend, implying it may have been struck on leftover test blanks or transitional planchets from earlier periods. And because mint record from that era did not fully track experimental blanks, the true origin of this off-metal composition remains a mystery, fueling speculation that the coin may represent a rare, unintended test strike accidentally released into circulation. In addition to the doubled obverse and off-metal composition, the coin reportedly exhibits die rotation, meaning that when flipped vertically, the reverse design is significantly rotated rather than perfectly aligned, revealing that the dies were improperly installed or shifted during production, and substantial die rotation is already valuable. But in combination with doubling and off-metal composition, it becomes nearly unmatched. Experts who have reportedly examined the coin describe weak strike areas and ghost-like impressions on the reverse eagle's wings, indicating a dramatic die clash where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other, without a planchet between them, leaving faint design remnants permanently embedded in the dies and later transferred onto struck coins, giving the surfaces a layered, supernatural look where elements of Washington's face can be seen behind the eagle, an error that collectors passionately seek because it tells a dramatic story of minting misalignment. Furthermore, the reeded edge on this 1987 D quarter is said to be irregular, with partial or interrupted ridges suggesting a collar malfunction, or misfed planchet, and edge errors like these are highly prized because they prove that the striking chamber was unstable during production, allowing a coin to deform slightly. And this specimen reportedly has a slightly wider diameter than normal, pointing toward a broad strike type expansion caused by the absence of a proper collar during striking, making the coin instantly recognizable to trained eyes. Additional lamination flaws appear on the obverse fields and on Washington's bust, indicating that the metal contained impurities or incomplete bonding between layers, causing thin flakes to peel or crack on the surface. And lamination errors are rare in modern clad coins because planchet creation has become more uniform, making any such visible peeling highly collectible, especially when paired with multiple other anomalies. Another distinct feature on certain error varieties of the 1987 D quarter includes minor off-center striking, where the design shifts slightly toward one edge, leaving the opposite side with a thicker rim and incomplete lettering. And although small off-center errors are relatively common, combining them with doubling, lamination peeling, die clash, and rotated dies is a coincidence so rare that seasoned collectors consider such a specimen essentially unique. Some numismatists even theorize that the $8 million coin might be a mule error, meaning it could have been struck with mismatched obverse and reverse dies, though this claim remains debated because the specimen is reportedly held in private possession, limiting public authentication. Yet whispers in the numismatic community suggest that markings consistent with a mismatched reverse design lend credibility to the mule theory, potentially making the coin a one-of-a-kind anomaly. The origins of this extraordinary piece remain surrounded by intrigue, with no official acknowledgement from the mint, and many speculate that it may have escaped during maintenance, test striking, or experimental production, possibly saved by an employee unaware of its future significance, later entering circulation or being passed quietly to a collector who recognized its rarity. Stories circulating within numismatic circles claim that the coins surfaced decades later, possibly found among pocket change or old coin rolls from a bank, shocking the owner when experts identified multiple unusual features and match-die markers proving authenticity, leading to an explosive private sale that stunned the collecting world with a price tag of $8 million, a staggering figure justified by the specimen's unmatched combination of diagnostic features, historical mystery, and singular rarity. Because collectors understand that once-in-a-lifetime errors command values far beyond typical market logic. Today, collectors eagerly inspect 1987 D quarters with magnification, scales, and metal testers, searching for any sign of doubling, off-metal composition, rotated alignment, edge errors, or lamination peeling. And while most examples are ordinary, occasional finds show minor doubling, die chips, or weak strikes that can still fetch small premiums, inspiring treasure hunters to keep searching. Coin experts recommend checking the weight carefully since off-metal examples may differ from standard clad weight, and examining the ring tone, color, and edge pattern can reveal clues pointing toward rare anomalies. While skeptics question whether an $8 million sale truly occurred, believers argue that private sales are common in high-value numismatics, especially for unique error pieces that defy record book classification. And regardless of debate, the legend of the 1987 D quarter captivates collectors because it blends scientific error analysis with mystery, luck, and adventure, symbolizing how extraordinary value can emerge from the smallest object around us. And as more treasure seekers join the hunt, the story of this coin reminds us to check our pockets, drawers, jars, and forgotten rolls because the next extraordinary discovery may be hiding in plain sight, ready to change your world forever. Next, 1967 $quarter coin that some collectors say could be worth an astonishing $17 million because of its extreme rarity, possible minting errors, and the undeniable excitement surrounding its creation during a period of great transition at the United States Mint. And as we dive into this remarkable story, imagine holding in your hand a simple-looking quarter that, beneath its ordinary appearance, hides a collection of striking mistakes, unexplained anomalies, and production oddities that send collectors into bidding frenzies. For the year 1967 followed a turbulent time in American coinage when silver had been removed from circulating coins just a year prior, leaving the mint scrambling to improve new metal compositions, adjust machinery, and meet an enormous national demand, opening countless possibilities for minting issues that could dramatically increase a coin's value. Since these transitional years often present combinations of old and new materials or incorrect equipment setups that accidentally produce coins with unique traits, and some collectors believe that a small batch of 1967 quarters may have been struck using leftover silver planchets, which would instantly make them extraordinarily valuable because only a tiny number would ever exist, and these silver-based errors, if genuine, stand among the most desirable mint accidents known, sending prices sky-high, especially when the weight, sound, and coloration show signs of silver rather than the intended copper-nickel composition. And beyond the possible transitional metal error are other extraordinary quirks, such as double-die obverse strikes, where the lettering or imagery displays faint duplicates caused by misalignment during the hubbing process, giving Washington's portrait, the date, or the motto a shadowed double outline that collectors hunt relentlessly. And when such doubling is crisp and dramatic, it becomes a numismatic jackpot, especially if paired with a rare composition or other mistake. And imagine the thrill of spotting a clearly doubled 1967 that leaps off the coin, or a double profile on Washington's face that appears to shimmer with each tilt under a light, making the coin instantly recognizable as an error specimen of historic importance. And still more intriguing are rumors of an ultra-rare off-center strike combined with a rotated reverse, in which the eagle on the reverse side sits noticeably misaligned compared to the front, creating a surreal effect where neither side lines up properly, a scenario often caused when the coin blank is incorrectly seated within a press and the farther off-center it sits. The rarer and more valuable it becomes, especially when the date remains visible, allowing collectors to verify the year. But the mystery only grows when stories surface of 1967 quarters displaying a phantom mint mark. Even though official records state that no mint marks were used between 1965 and 1967, making any specimen that appears to bear a faint D or S mark a true numismatic riddle, perhaps the result of accidental reuse of a mark die or an unauthorized striking process. And such a piece would immediately capture global attention because it contradicts official policy, raising questions about how, when, and why such a strike occurred, opening doors to speculation about special test strikes or experimental batches. And beyond physical errors, part of the coin's mystique lies in the stories surrounding its discovery, with whispers of collectors stumbling upon strange 1967 quarters in inherited collections, pocket change, or estate sales, each one triggering a chain reaction of expert evaluations, intense bidding wars, and staggering price estimates. And when experts find multiple errors layered together, such as silver composition, strong doubling, and off-center striking, the value can reach unimaginable levels, potentially explaining how a single specimen could command a price in the realm of $17 million, especially among elite collectors who crave the unique and historically significant. And this sky-high valuation, though astonishing, becomes easier to understand when considering how rare error coins have shattered records again and again at major auctions, where even coins with lesser mistakes have been known to sell for 6 and 7 figures. So imagine the frenzy surrounding a 1967 quarter that combines multiple ultra-rare conditions, transforming a once ordinary piece of metal into a legendary treasure. And the 1967 quarter is especially captivating because it hails from a period of economic change, when a nation was still adjusting to the removal of silver from its coins, and the mint faced enormous pressure to produce vast quantities quickly, sometimes sacrificing control and allowing errors to slip by, which is why specialists believe that hidden gems from this year still circulate today, waiting to be discovered by sharp-eyed enthusiasts. And with tens of millions minted, many collectors overlook 1967 quarters, assuming they are common and worthless. But that only deepens the mystery because the rarest, most valuable specimens may be disguised among the masses, and the dream that an ordinary roll of quarters could contain a multi-million-dollar error energizes the community, encouraging people to search every loose coin with excitement. And while the stories surrounding the $17 million valuation may seem outrageous, they reflect the truth that the numismatic market thrives on scarcity, mystery, and dramatic error combinations, especially during transitional years like 1967. And while not every 1967 quarter will be valuable, those bearing extreme minting mistakes represent the pinnacle of collectible intrigue, especially when authenticated by professional grading services that confirm anomalies, certify conditions, and record new discoveries. And these experts search for signs like weight, deviations, misaligned dies, incorrect metal tones, blurred inscriptions, die cracks, unusual edges, and rotated reverses, all of which help determine whether a coin is a genuine, spectacular error or simply a common circulation piece. And when a rare specimen is confirmed, excitement ripples across the numismatic world because newly uncovered errors, especially from well-studied years, can reshape what collectors thought was possible. encouraging deeper research into how such a coin came to be. And this drives speculation about hidden caches of unexplained coins that may have been accidentally released or quietly dispersed, waiting to resurface decades later, and stories of unexpected discovery continue to inspire both seasoned collectors and newcomers who dream of turning pocket change into a life-changing treasure, and whether found in a family drawer, auction lot, or flea market. The possibility that an ordinary-seeming 1967 quarter could unleash a bidding storm worth millions fuels the passion that defines this community, because each error coin carries with it a piece of history, mystery, and luck. And as you continue exploring your own coins, remember that the 1967 quarter's value lies not only in its potential monetary worth, but also in the thrill of the hunt, the beauty of imperfection, and the knowledge that incredible rarities often appear when least expected, fueling dreams and inspiring collectors around the world who are determined to uncover the next great treasure hiding in plain sight. Next, 1966 quarter dollar coin that some collectors believe could be worth an extraordinary $39 million because of its wild minting errors, legendary mistakes, mysterious background, and the incredible rarity that surrounds specimens from this transitional period in United States coinage history. And as you follow along, imagine stumbling upon what looks like an ordinary quarter from 1966, only to discover that it may hold the power to transform your life forever due to the rare combination of features, anomalies, compositions, and incredible circumstances that elevate this particular coin into a category of unimaginable value. And this story begins during a period of dramatic transformation when the United States Mint had just recently removed silver from circulating dimes and quarters, starting in 1965, switching instead to a blend of copper and nickel that changed the weight, appearance, and sound of every new coin. And these abrupt modifications caused tremendous strain on minting equipment, leading to various production errors, missed strikes, transitional pieces, and odd experimental runs that today represent the heart of the 1966 quarter's mystery, since the dramatic change in metals meant that old silver planchets may have still been present in or near the presses, accidentally feeding into the new coinage runs, creating silver 1966 quarters that should not exist. And that alone is enough to set collectors on fire, because coins struck on wrong. Planchets are among the most valuable mint errors ever recorded, commonly selling for huge sums when authenticated. So when discovering a silver 1966 quarter, especially one heavier than the standard clad version, the value skyrockets beyond imagination. And rumors circulate in numismatic communities of a small handful of these possibly silver-based 1966 quarters that bear sharp strikes, vibrant silver luster, and a ring tone matching pre-1965 issues, and when weight tests confirm a near 6.25 gram reading instead of the expected clad weight. Collectors go wild because this suggests an ultra-rare transitional error that should never have been released to the public, and that alone could justify millions. But this coin's legend expands further because 1966 quarters are believed to exhibit double-die obverse errors so dramatic that Washington's portrait, the date, and the word liberty appear doubled and shadowed, creating a fascinating visual effect that reflects the imprecision and hurried production environment of the era. And when doubling is crisp, well-defined, and clearly visible even without magnification, collectors treat these pieces like holy grails, especially when combined with other anomalies, such as unusual metal composition, making the coin a once-in-a-lifetime discovery whose value climbs into the tens of millions and beyond doubling. Some examples are rumored to exhibit off-center strikes, where the entire design is shifted noticeably away from center, because the planchet was misaligned during striking. And when the coin is dramatically off-center, yet the date remains visible, its rarity increases exponentially since not only does the error stand out visually, but it remains verifiable as a 1966 strike, and stories persist of extreme off-center 1966 quarters paired with rotated reverse alignment, where the eagle on the reverse is twisted at shocking angles compared to the front design, making the coin look surreal and instantly recognizable as a minting marvel. And this kind of combination error almost never happens, which sends the price into an unimaginable range, helping explain how the value figure of $39 million could be considered. Because when multiple errors combine on a single specimen, it becomes not only collectible, but legendary. And collectors worldwide will fight tooth and nail to own something so unusual, so historically relevant, and so undeniably rare. And the intrigue deepens when mysterious examples appear showing faint mint marks, even though none were officially used on circulation coins from 1965 to 1967. And this detail alone fuels heated debate, because a quarter from 1966 that appears to display a subtle D or S mark contradicts official minting policy, suggesting that rogue dies, experimental minting trials, or unauthorized test strikes may have been secretly issued, and any coin exhibiting this trait becomes an artifact of enormous historical mystery, because no official record exists explaining why a mint mark would appear, raising possibilities that range from accidental die reuse to covert experimentations within the minting facility. And these secretive origins can elevate the price beyond reason, especially when combined with other striking production flaws, because rarity in multiple dimensions drives the market into frenzy. And some of the most desirable coins are those that show signs of being struck on leftover foreign planchets, possibly because the mint occasionally produce coins for other countries, and accidental mixing of foreign blanks could have resulted in lightweight or odd-colored 1966 quarters, adding yet another layer of intrigue to this already complex narrative. And collectors who perform metal analysis and discover unexpected nickel levels, unusual copper distribution, or traces of silver find themselves holding items beyond rarity, pieces that defy standard classification and leave experts stunned, which only increases demand and heightens perceived value. And the condition of these coins also plays a crucial role, because well-preserved examples that avoided circulation and remain crisp, lustrous, and nearly flawless magnify their desirability further, especially if the errors are dramatic and easily visible. And discovering such a pristine piece tucked away in a forgotten drawer or inherited collection would be nothing short of breathtaking, because the historical transition period only magnifies its meaning, bridging two eras of American coinage and representing a perfect storm of technological adjustment, policy changes, and accidental creation. And this perfect storm is often what gives birth to the most extraordinary treasures, as collectors have seen with other rare transitional errors like the famous 1943 copper cent or 1974 aluminum cent. Coins surrounded by similar tales of confusion, accident, secrecy, and unbelievable value. And the 1966 quarter dollar carries with it that same aura of mystique, whispering to collectors that something impossible may still be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by an unsuspecting enthusiast checking pocket change or reviewing an old collection. And stories continue to circulate across online forums, coin clubs, conventions, and auction houses about individuals who nearly fainted when experts confirmed that their humble 1966 quarter was not only an error coin, but a multi-error masterpiece bearing doubling, misstrike anomalies, wrong composition, and even hints of off-center alignments that drove its estimated value into the tens of millions. And when multiple major grading authorities authenticate such a piece, certifying its extraordinary traits, the coin becomes priceless in the eyes of the global collecting community, dominating headlines and inspiring countless others to begin searching their own coins in hopes of catching lightning in a bottle. And whether these legendary examples surface through auctions, estate sales, or unbelievable discoveries in ordinary circulation, the mythos of the 1966 quarter continues to grow, with collectors believing that the most extreme example, combining a silver planchet, double dies, off-center strike, rotated reverse, and mystery mint mark, could easily command $39 million or more, making it not only a coin, but a once-in-history artifact whose story transcends numismatics, reminding us that tiny metal discs can embody extraordinary stories, accidents, and value beyond comprehension, pushing treasure hunters everywhere to keep searching with hopeful hearts, because the next legendary 1966 quarter could be resting unnoticed in a coin jar, a pocket, or a forgotten storage box somewhere, waiting to change a life forever. Last, today we bring you an unbelievable journey surrounding the mysterious 1991 D quarter dollar, a coin that some collectors believe could be worth an incredible $11 million because of the extraordinary errors, shocking minting mistakes, and highly unusual conditions that have helped transform what appears to be an ordinary Denver minted quarter into an object of intense fascination and legendary value. And although the typical 1991 D quarter is common and found everywhere in circulation, this story revolves around extremely rare error-based examples that have captured the imagination of collectors who dream of discovering hidden treasures and pocket change. So welcome and get ready to explore the unbelievable possibilities behind this remarkable coin. Because when numismatic errors combine, especially during years when production quality was pressured by high output, the results can create 1 in a million or even 1 in a billion rarities. And in the case of the 1991 D quarter, the unusual blend of transitional error theories, double strike anomalies, wrong planchet mistakes, dramatic off-center strikes, and mysterious metal content has sparked a wave of curiosity throughout the collecting community, inspiring the belief that certain examples may be worth millions, particularly those that display extreme deviations far beyond standard minting norms. And the first major factor fueling the value rumors surrounding this coin lies in the possibility of wrong planchet strikes, because many 1991 D quarters have been studied for signs of having been struck on foreign or leftover planchets, which would have created specimens with noticeably different weight, thickness, or coloration. And although the United States Mint occasionally produced coins for other countries, the chaotic mixing of blanks could theoretically have resulted in U.S. quarters being struck on incorrect metal, creating coins with unique metallic signatures, lighter or heavier, weight or unusual surface color, and metal analyzers used by collectors sometimes reveal anomalies that challenge expectation, sparking intense debate and pushing auction speculation to extreme levels. Because a wrong planchet error is already highly desirable, but when paired with dramatic doubling on lettering or Washington's portrait, the coin becomes something else entirely. A marvel of numismatic unpredictability, especially if the double die displays crisp separation, making the portrait look shadowed and bold, or if I In God We Trust, Liberty, or the 1991 date exhibits clear doubling that is visible even without magnification. And if you imagine finding such a coin in your change, the excitement becomes overwhelming because doubling attracts collectors from around the world, especially when combined with strong condition and other multiple errors. And this is where the story intensifies even more, because some reported 1991 D quarter anomalies seem to demonstrate triple strike effects, where the coin shows overlapping images resulting from multiple strikes, which could occur if the coin became lodged in the press and subsequently struck again off alignment, creating dramatic distortions, twisted shapes, and layered design impressions that look almost surreal. And such dramatic triple strikes can transform the entire design. sometimes leaving only partial imagery visible while maintaining recognizable identifiers like the year or mint mark. And these kinds of multi-strike pieces, especially when preserved in decent condition, immediately become high-value collectibles, with the possibility of commanding enormous prices at auction, and the potential value increases even further when coins exhibit wild off-center errors, shifting either Washington's portrait or the eagle reverse significantly away from center. And collectors especially prize examples where the strike is extreme but the date remains visible, making identification possible and elevating the rarity even more. And if the reverse appears rotated, turning at odd angles compared to the obverse, collectors go wild because rotated die strikes add dramatic visual appeal and rarity, making the coin a showcase piece for any collection. And the presence of such combined errors could help explain how estimates reach multiple millions. And when you consider the possibility of anomalies in metal composition, such as signs of silver content instead of the expected copper-nickel clad, the mystery deepens further because silver-based quarters should not exist for 1991, yet rumors persist of experimental or accidental strikes involving leftover precious metal planchets. And if a 1991 D quarter were proven to be struck on silver or any alloy significantly different from the standard clad composition, it would be considered one of the most extraordinary modern-era errors ever recorded, instantly elevating its mythical status and placing it in a category reserved for only the rarest minting accidents. And another captivating factor behind the legendary value potential of the 1991 D quarter lies in the existence of dramatic die crack errors, where fractures in the die leave raised lines across the surface of the coin, sometimes resembling lightning bolts, branching lines, or spiderweb shapes. And if such die cracks stretch across Washington's face or neck, or through the date, or across the eagle's wings on the reverse, the visual effect becomes striking, turning the coin into a fascinating artifact that tells the story of heavy die stress and overuse, which makes these examples uniquely desirable, especially when combined with other mistakes. And collectors are also fascinated by partial collar errors where the coin's rim appears misformed, leaving one side thicker than the other, or producing a railroad rim effect that makes the coin instantly noticeable. And when such edge anomalies appear alongside doubling or wrong planchet characteristics, the possibility of staggering value becomes real because so many different categories of error occurring simultaneously on a single coin is unfathomably rare, and stories continue to circulate of supposedly authenticated 1991 D quarters that boast combinations of all these traits, making them the stuff of legend. And whether they come from private collections, estate discoveries, or accidental auction listings, such pieces command attention from high-end collectors and museums, especially those who specialize in modern errors. And the condition also plays a dramatic role because specimens preserved in brilliant, uncirculated, or mint state condition demonstrate even higher potential value, their lustrous surfaces highlighting every detail of their extraordinary mistakes. And collectors who discover such coins often express complete disbelief, realizing that what once seemed like a normal quarter now represents a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And stories continue to emerge of individuals who took ordinary coins to experts only to learn that their find displayed wrong planchet traits, extreme doubling, or other rare errors that launched its theoretical valuation into the millions. And although the typical 1991 D quarter may only be worth face value, these extraordinary outliers, with their staggering blend of abnormal characteristics, have inspired the belief that the most extreme example may command a value as high as $11 million in the right market, making the 1991 D quarter one of the most thrilling subjects of discussion among treasure hunters and numismatics enthusiasts who examine their change each day, dreaming that somewhere, tucked away in a jar, drawer, or forgotten purse. The next legendary piece awaits discovery, a humble quarter with the potential to change someone's life forever. And that possibility alone keeps collectors searching, imagining that the next incredible coin could be found sitting quietly, unnoticed, waiting to become a numismatic superstar admired around the world.